Okay, so to summarize, Dr. Vikas, we have discussed regarding the different types of variables, and we
जी
basically spoke regarding कि qualitative में दो type के variable होते हैं, nominal, ordinal. Nominal means कि yes या no types, male, female, yes, no, blood group A, B, AB, O, इस type का जहाँ पे भी data होगा, that will be all be considered as a nominal. Okay. So the other type is basically it is qualitative. So आपने कहा, suppose you have done a sample of a city and you have said how many males, how many females in that population, how many people are O positive. So you get to get a number. अगर मैं बोलूं कि भाई 132, now 132 is what? 132 किलोग्राम है, सेंटीमीटर है, मिलीग्राम है. So naturally the moment you put up some numbers, it is going to quantify certain things. So nominal may is all about like you categorize the things into a particular category. That's why the name nominal. The other one is ordinal. Now in ordinal, it is giving you an idea that it is more or better than that. For example, low income countries, middle income countries, high income countries. Now high income countries have got more median income of the high income countries per capita is more than the other countries. But how much high that we don't know. But it is more like in pain. 0 means no pain, 10 means very severe pain. 0 that means in VAS, visual analog scale. So, but how much high we don't. So that is basically the example of ordinal. The third is your discrete data and continuous data. Now discrete data is again like a specific number, like 1, 2, 3, 4. How many children in a family? 1. How many children in the family? 2. And continuous is like between 150 and like for example, if I say if okay my numbers in the my number in class was 150, okay, out of 200 I got 150. How many students between 150 and 152 were there? So 150.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. So even after decimal places, each and every value has a number. That's why it is continuous. So whenever we calculate in terms of age, kilogram, so you can divide age into your years, months, days. So that has got a value. Similarly, in terms of your kilogram, milligram, decigram, so again it has got a meaning. So that's why all these numbers because that you can quantify. So a good data is that data which functions or which have a function of all which can work having all the functions of mathematics: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So that is so. Is it clear, Priyobala, Dr. Vikas? Is it clear? Any doubts in this?
जी ठीक
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Clear.
So okay. So Divya has also joined. Okay, everyone has joined. Okay, good. So we were discussing about, so in the last class we discussed about all these things, and then ratio, quantitative data. So this is all we have done. Okay, now we'll come to the next, that is chapter number 3. Okay. नहीं, सैम्पलिंग तो हमने करा लिया था ना. सैम्पलिंग के बाद ही तो हम ये लोग ये चीज कर रहे थे. मेरे ख्याल से
Yes,
अब
sir.
हमको फ्रीक्वेंसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कर्व शुरू करना है.
Yes, sir.
राइट.
Yes, sir.
हाँ. Is it audible? Means are you able to see the screen? No. Just a minute. No, no, अभी नहीं. Okay, now. Okay. Yes. अब देख पा रहे हैं आप? Are you able to see the screen, all of you?
Yes, it's visible now, sir.
Okay, good. Now see, basically what is the purpose of data? अब मैं, if suppose I have to take a consensus, I have to take a census of a population. So I will be going over there. I can divide the whole district into block-wise. Block-wise can be divided in terms of demographic data, age of the people, how many children below 5 years, below less than 1 year, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years, adolescent, young group, age. So we can have, so wherever we are describing, so what I have earlier said, all the data are divided into two categories. One is your, one is your descriptive statistics, another is your inferential statistics. So descriptive statistics means, in simple words, when you describe a data. Now, describing why you need to describe a data, because I told you earlier, data has to be divided into, data has to be converted into information. Information has to be converted into knowledge, and knowledge has to be converted into wisdom, because it is going to tell you certain things. So unless and until you have that type of a data, they you can, then only you can do something about it. And if you don't know about data, now see, you are doing Google, Facebook. So what is this? Is all about data, artificial intelligence, deep machine learning, chat GPT is all, but this is all data of different forms. Okay. So now you can see over here. Hmm. Okay, so what is, so frequency distribution again, like frequency means how many times it is happening. Even in diseases, like in epidemiology, when you will study, you know when a disease is occurring, how many times it is occurring, at what part. So you can evaluate the different aspects of that disease. Kab hua, kaise hua, kahan hua, kyun hua, किसने किया. So you can have a very good. So whenever we need to describe any type of data, we need to divide it into tables. So frequency distribution is basically a table in which the data are grouped into classes, and the number of classes which fall in each class are recorded. So you are seeing it whether it is happening or not. So it shows the frequency hua nahi hua, whether it happened, if it happened. So you can again classify into different sections. So it shows the frequency of occurrence of different values of a single phenomena. So the same thing when it is happening in a different ways, so you can basically measure it. So frequency distribution table in any of the data, or in research methodology, when we use it for three basic reasons. Number one, to facilitate the analysis of data. Number two, to because nowadays data analysis is very, very important. Like whatever data you are getting, how you are going to analyze it, what you are going to understand, how do you want to segregate it, how do you want to interpret it. So it is very, very important. So similarly, to estimate the frequencies of the unknown population distribution from a distribution of a sample data, because see, it is very important, like we cannot do it on a whole population. So we try to take uh, the estimate from that population. So that's why it is very, very important. So whenever you find out prevalence rate of any place or incidence, so we will basically use this type of a methods. And then to facilitate the computation of different types of statistical measures, because in statistics, like I told you, descriptive statistics is all about when you find out mean, median, mode. Say these are known as measures of central tendency. Now, what is measures of central tendency? How do you classify mean, median, mode? What is requirement? Will come to these things one by one. After this thing, we find out measures of variation. Now measures of after measures of measures of dispersion, not variation, but it is known as measures of dispersion. So with mean, you will always use standard deviation. With median, we will always use interquartile deviation, and with mode, you will always use range. Now, what is the difference between standard deviation, range, and interquartile deviation? Will also understand. Then once you have understood this, you know what is standard error. Then you also know what is it means normal distribution curve. Then we come to different types of inferential statistics, where you are using different types of tests, be it chi-square test, be it ANOVA, one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA. So like this, because that will give you an. So again, without knowing this thing, we cannot compute the different types of statistical measures. Is it clear? Any doubts in this? Yes.
Sir, is there any standard for estimation of frequency of unknown population distribution from the distribution of sample data? Bullet point number 2, sir.
Point number 2, to estimate frequencies of the unknown population distribution. Now, see, you know already a known population, but the population size is very huge. Like for example, like you know a known category of people living in certain area, but maybe you want to estimate about its area in a larger place because they are particularly living at a particular area. So from there you can find out like what is their percentage, but can you also estimate their percentage from the other areas where their size may not be that much visible? So this is what or using the same thing into any other part. Okay, so this is what it is trying to tell you, to estimate, because see, in estimation, your estimate may be 95% correct or 99% correct. Now, if it is 95%, that means chances of error is 5%. That means what you are trying to estimate may not be always true. And 99% means 99% what you are estimating is true, only there can be an error of just 1%. So that's why how do we do it in terms of various diseases? Like if you are saying like this is happening because of this reason. So maybe what you are thinking is the reason. Uh, take an example. अभी पीछे अभी कुछ दिनों पहले वो आया कि इंडिया की जीडीपी 8.3 आ गई. हैव यू हर्ड दिस न्यूज़ अभी पीछे कि ये जो लास्ट जो क्वार्टर है इसमें इंडिया की जीडीपी 8.3 आया है. How many of you are aware of this news?
Yes, sir.
है ना? तो सबने
Yes,
बोला
sir.
रहे देखो क्या ग्रोथ हो रही है जबरदस्त. तो भाई अब सवाल ये है कि अगर सामान बिक नहीं रहा है, बेरोजगारी इतनी ज्यादा है, तो इंडिया का जीडीपी बढ़ कैसे रहा है? Isn't it? So basically stats will help you to give you certain answers that what is the reason for this type of phenomena? What could be the possible reasons? So when it was analyzed, it was debated. So it was seen that the reason was because last year जब corporates को जो पैसा खर्चा करना था और उनको तो वो पैसा उन्होंने खर्चा नहीं किया अपने उसके अंदर, और उन्होंने गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स भरा. तो उससे क्या हुआ कि गवर्नमेंट की इनकम ज्यादा बढ़ी तो जीडीपी बढ़ गया. सिमिलरली जो पहले के जो एस्टिमेटेड तरीके थे करने के, उसमें क्या था कि उनको एक लेवल से शुरू करना था. अब उन्होंने उसी सेम टाइम पे दूसरे लेवल से शुरू किया फॉर द सेम पीरियड. तो उसके अंदर नजर आया कि आपने ज्यादा उसके अंदर पैसा कमाया. तो इन दोनों रीजंस की वजह से जीडीपी एकदम से बढ़ा हुआ नजर आया. So, if you are, that's why inferential statistics is very, very important. अब एक तरफ अगर आप मान लीजिए बोलते हैं कि इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन में हम बोलते हैं कि भाई 82 करोड़ पॉपुलेशन को, जैसे इंडिया का स्टार्ट्स है कि आउट ऑफ 140 करोड़ पॉपुलेशन, अराउंड 6 करोड़ पीपल अर्न मोर देन 10 lakhs. 14 crore people salary is between 5 to 10 lakhs, and 82 crore people you have to feed them. Now, if suppose on one reason you are saying you have to feed them, and now on the other side you are saying, just 5% population is under poverty line. So there's a dichotomy in this. So statistics will help you to answer these questions and to question the different type of anomalies. Okay, so but for this to happen, you really need to have hawkish eyes. You need to have a critical understanding about the various phenomena. You should be able to understand the methodologies by which it is done. And once it is being done, then only you will be able to criticize it and able to contest it. So there are different ways of doing these things. So while it will say a particular thing about a particular phenomena, but maybe that does not hold true always. So statistics, or when you see different type of statistical methods, it will help you to answer these questions. So you can see this like frequency distribution. After collecting the data, the first task is to now see what is the purpose of data. The purpose of data is like even it should be simplified in such a manner that even any layman can understand it. So beauty of any researcher is कि आप उसको कितनी खूबसूरती से, आप इसको कितनी आसानी से समझा सकते हैं कि एक अनपढ़ से अनपढ़ आदमी भी उस चीज को प्रॉपर्ली समझ सकता है. So that is the beauty of any research. So, but if you make it so complex that nobody can understand, that means you are not a pretty good researcher. So once you collect the data, our first task is to organize and simplify the data in such a manner where we can oversee the result holistically and we can be able to interpret something out of it. And that is basically the goal of any descriptive statistics, because inferential statistics is going to tell you that whatever phenomena you are thinking or you are predicting is going to influence, that answer you are going to get from your inferential statistics. But at the end of the day, descriptive statistics can give you about a trend, it can suggest you certain things, and accordingly you can test your hypothesis. So one method for simplifying and organizing the data is to construct a frequency polygon. So we make up a frequency polygon. And what is a frequency polygons? A frequency distribution table consists of at least two columns. All of you know X and F. Now X is basically like it is telling you the measurement, scale of measurement, what you are trying to measure, and frequency, how many times. Now, for instance, we have got a population where I've got different families and I want to find out, like there are 40 families and I want to find out how many children are present in different families. So what I will do, I will use a tabular form. I will use on the left hand side, I will write number of children 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because our children cannot be 1.2, 1.4, 1.7, 2.1. So it is have to be in discrete numbers. So in discrete, when you have in discrete numbers, so you say, okay, family number, how many people have got 0 children? So on the top layer, you see 3. Then how many children, how many families have got 1 child? 7 families. So like this, you can make up the frequency distribution. But once you make up out of the entire sample, you can draw out certain things which might help you to take up a decision. Like for instance, what is the maximum number of children? What is the maximum number of children the maximum families have? Now we can say, okay, the 3 children, eight families have got 3 children, whereas 10 of the families have got 2 children. That means majority of the family have got 2 children. So whether this type of a decision, this type of an information is helping you to make certain policies, procedures, which is non-discriminatory or which is helpful to solve your issues. So that will make a very, very important part.
Excuse me, sir,
Okay.
I have one doubt.
Yes.
Sir, I wanted to ask you how can we control, sir, biasness while making this data?
Biasness, you can do it when you don't do, you have to do blinding. The person who is doing it does not know the entire thing. And those people who are collecting that data does not know like for what purpose it is being used, and you are simply asking. So blinding is the only method by which you can prevent any type of biasness.
Okay.
Okay, otherwise people do have a certain type, because usually if I want to, okay, I want to show a particular type of trend, I can put up the values myself. So it usually happens in all the a lot of government machineries and other places. Okay, people deliberately put up because they want to do a khana purti. Okay, we have to put up the file, they have to give rosy pictures. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the grassroots level, there is a difference in the reality and what is actually it is present in the grassroots levels. Okay, so you can see a
Okay.
dichotomy.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
so that is very, very
Okay, sir.
important. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So now see, so how do I calculate the percentage? Now third, I can use the percentage by dividing the frequency by the total number. So, and the sum will be equal to 1. So it will again, when you multiplied it by 100, so it will give me in terms of percentage. So again, like I can convert everything in terms of percentage, because understanding in a percent, a number is difficult. But if I suppose I've got a place where there are different types of jeeps, and I know how much this is the frequency of the jeeps. So I can calculate in terms of frequency when I multiply it by 100. So it is going to give me a percentage. So I can give you the exact number. Okay, so the same can be done for in terms of, so whatever, like firstly we need to be very clear about what type of information do we need, why do we need it, okay, what purpose we are going to solve by having that information, how that information is going to help us in order to take a decision, how that decision is going to help us in order to achieve something substantial or to make any policy. So that's why these things becomes very very important once you have understood the basic things, and then you start implementing in the society. So now, like I told you, we make up a graph and there are 40 families in a village, and every family, so we give the number 1, 2, 3, 4. So like family number one child, family number two, zero child, family number three child, family number. So you make up a frequency distribution table. And in that distribution table, then you also, put up everything like how many children. So like that's why I told you, like on the left hand side, zero child, one child, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you make up a tally. Okay, so in tally, then you put up the numbers in front of you and you can seek information. The same can be done can for a country. So that the previous example was an example of discrete data because there's a specific number. Now the same thing can be done for a continuous data. Now, for example, if there are employees in a family, in a company, and the people are getting weekly wages as 50 to 100 rupees, 100 to 150 rupees, 150 to because somebody got 51 rupees, somebody got 93, somebody got 103, 100 some. So that means, so we divide it into a continuous group where you make certain in terms of range. So there 50 to 100, how many people got 4, then 100 to 150, then how many people got, it's again 4, 12. So like this we prepare a whole list of a bunch, so that whatever whosoever is there, we are able to cover it. So now suppose the total number of employees are 100 over here, okay, and this is the number of wages. So before we come to the calculation, let us understand, like, what is the criteria by which we set up these intervals, like whether it should be 50 to 100, 100 to 150, why not it is 50 to 75, 75 to 100. So then there is again there's a way, because whenever you have got a class limit, you will prepare the class interval. Now usually the people with class interval, they prepare it according to whatever they like, or whatever, like it is quite handy. So over here you make up a mid range. From the range you come to the midpoint, and from midpoint you calculate the frequency, and then you have the size of the class interval. So the interval, like it can be this class limit can be of two types: the lower limit and the upper limit. Now the lower limit is always denoted by L, and the upper limit is denoted by U. So U minus L will be your class range and limit. And width is basically how much gap it is. It is whether you will make up a gap of 50 people, 100 people. So we can denote this thing. So range is particularly like when you find out the highest value minus the lowest value, will call you a range. Again, range is a very important part as far as measures of dispersion is concerned. Any doubt in this? What is range? Like for example, like I'm doing a research, and the maximum, so I'm using a Carvan's formula. So Carvan's formula I'm using is to calculate the maximum heart rate. Now, the maximum person who is competing with me maybe is 60 years, and minimum who is competing with us at that time maybe 20 years. So, it is basically a gap of 40. So maximum minus the minimum. So based on this, like 60 years minus 20 years comes out to be the average of 40 years. Now you can either take people in groups of like 5, that is 20 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 35, 35 to 40. But also it can be calculated depending on the different type of conditions. Is it clear? Any doubts on this?
जी.
Okay. So then comes the mid value and the midpoint. So how do you calculate like the mid value and the midpoint? Again, so this is upper limit plus the lower limit divided by 2. So it will give us the mid value. Okay, so that is all of you know it's very simple. L plus U divided by 2. So now the lower limit is 20, upper limit is 30. 20 plus 30 divided by 2 will give you the midpoint, that is 25. Okay, so this is how you calculate the midpoint. Now suppose we are having a weight of people and we want to know like we had an observation in a particular class and we are basically seeing like what is the average weight. If somebody asks us like what is the average weight. So we have people like in a class, we have got 420 people and like what is the minimum weight like what is happening seeing in the class maybe 30 kgs and maximum could be like 100 or 100 kgs. Okay, so we can divide the whole category into 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 40, 50 to 60, 60 to 70 like this. And how many people do we find with 30 to 40 kilogram weight? So it may be 25. The next level is 53. So likewise you put the whole range of people into so what is happening like 40 25 is what it is, the frequency, because these many number of people have a average weight like this. So how do we calculate the class interval? It is used by the formula known as the Stroud's rule. Stroud's rule. Okay, just remember the name Stroud's rule. Like how do you make this class interval? And Stroud's rule says like k is equal to 1 plus 3.22 logarithm of n. Now, what is n over here? N is the total number of algorithms. So, how many number of algorithms you are seeing? It is going to give then log of that number and the number of the class intervals. So, this is the formula by which Stroud's rule can be used in order to make such a thing. So now, like suppose if the observation is 10, then we put up under this formula. So we get almost like 4. So with a gap of every 4, we can finish up the task and we can divide them into a group of 4 like this. 28 to 32, 32 to 36, 36 to 40, 36 to 40. So there's a gap of 4 each. Now this 4 you have calculated using the formula. Okay, and if there are more number of people like where so we can divide it using that rule, and depending on that we can make up the class interval. Okay, any doubts in this? Anything which is not clear to anyone? Yes, any doubt? Anything which is not clear? So what is the size of the class interval? The class of the size interval basically it is again inversely proportional to the distribution. Okay, so class interval, the bigger is the distribution, and you have to make the class intervals accordingly. So the size of the class interval is what you do is range divided by the number of the class interval. Range, I have already told you the highest value minus the lowest value divided by the uh, divided by the number of the class interval, which is the formula 1 plus 3.22 logarithm of n. And if when you give this thing, you basically can easily calculate the size of the class interval. Okay, so class interval, if you see in any frequency distribution, you can use 3 different methods. One is known as the open-ended classes, inclusive classes, and the chaosive classes. So open, what is open end inclusive method and exclusive? So open end exclusive method you can see over here. So the finishing line of one is the starting line of the other. So you can see 0 to like how much of money is being spent like by the families every day, okay, or every week. So like you divide into expenditure 0 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10,000, 10,000. So there's a continuation, 0 to here, here to here, here to here. So that means number of families 60, 95, 122, 83, 40, 400. So that is the total number. So by this is known as the exclusive method.
सर
Yes.
सर इसमें जैसे 0 to 5,000 है, 5,000 to 10,000 है, अगर किसी का 5,000 है तो वो किस कैटेगरी में आएगा, 0 to फाइव
हाँ,
थाउजेंड
तो
में?
5,000 वाला क्या करेंगे हम, 4,999 तक लेंगे उसको, पहले वाले
अच्छा।
में। दूसरे
हम्म।
वाले को हम 5,000 को इसमें गिन लेंगे, 9,999 वाले को दूसरे में लेंगे,
जी जी
है ना। तो
जी
इसलिए हमने मतलब एवरेज मतलब 4,999 जो बंदा कमाता है उसको पहले कैटेगरी में लेंगे, और जो 5,000 ले रहा है उसको दूसरी कैटेगरी में लेंगे, इसलिए इसको एक्सक्लूसिव मेथड बोला जाता है। ओके,
जी
एक्सक्लूसिव है ये। So it is clear that the exclusive method ensures that continuity of the data as much as the upper limit of one class is the lower class of the other next class. So इस तरीके से, इसलिए 0 से लेके 4,999.99, तो 9.99, अब वहां पे डेसिमल प्लेसेस का भी अगर आपको नंबर आता है, उसकी भी अगर एक वैल्यू है, उससे भी अगर फर्क पड़ता है, तो डेफिनेटली यू टेक द होल रेंज। इज इट क्लियर? तो
जी
इसलिए this is again widely practiced. The second one is called the inclusive method. Now in this method the overlapping is basically being avoided, क्योंकि जो लोअर लिमिट और हायर लिमिटेड है वो बदल जाती है, ठीक है। तो फ्रीक्वेंसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ डिस्क्रीट वेरिएबल्स लाइक द नंबर ऑफ फैमिली मेंबर्स, नंबर ऑफ वर्कर्स इन, सो इस तरीके से दैट इज इन इंक्लूसिव मेथड। सो इट कैन नॉट बी यूज विद फ्रैक्शनल वैल्यूज लाइक एज में, हाइट में, वेट में, इन इस तरीकों को यूज नहीं कर सकते। तो इसमें क्या होता है कि आपका 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, तो आप देखिए गैप है, जैसे 5 से 9 फैमिली मेंबर्स कितने, 5 से 9 कितने लोग थे, इतने, फिर इससे इतने। तो इस तरीके से जो लोअर लिमिट का जो एक जो ग्रुप है और अपर लिमिट का जो दूसरा वाला ग्रुप है, उन दोनों में एक वेरिएशन है। तो 5 से 9, 10 से 14, 15 से 19, तो इस तरीके से यू thus to decide whether to use the inclusive method or the exclusive method, it is important to determine whether the variable under observation is a continuous or discrete। अब ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आप इंक्लूसिव मेथड यूज करेंगे या एक्सक्लूसिव मेथड यूज करेंगे, वो डिपेंड करता है कि आपका जो वेरिएबल है वो आप कंटिन्यूअस यूज कर रहे हो या बेसिकली डिस्क्रीट वन यूज कर रहे हो। अगर कंटिन्यूअस कर रहे हो तो आप पहला वाला यूज कर लो, अगर डिस्क्रीट यूज कर रहे हो तो आप दूसरा वाला यूज कर लो। इज इट क्लियर?
सर, इसमें जैसे मतलब ये अगर जो डेटा है वो इंडिविजुअल है, मतलब वो एब्सोल्यूट नंबर्स में है,
हाँ,
तब
तो
तो हम
एब्सोल्यूट
इसको
नंबर्स में इंक्लूसिव में ले लो आप,
इंक्लूसिव में लेंगे। ठीक।
इंक्लूसिव में ले लो ना, जैसे नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन इन अ फैमिली, अब
जी
5 से 9, 5 से 9, 10 से 14, अब वहां पे तो क्या है कि आप कंटिन्यूअस ले सकते हो। अब जैसे मैंने कहा कि सैलरी कितने, 4,999.99, ठीक है ना।
जी।
अब लेने में तो अब यहाँ पे भी, बट ये है कि
तो यहाँ एक्सक्लूसिव
जनरली
मेथड चले।
स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन बना रखा है। इंक्लूसिव मेथड आप हमेशा यूज करोगे वहां पे जहाँ पे आपका बेसिकली डिस्क्रीट नंबर्स है, और वहां पे कंटिन्यूअस नंबर्स को यूज कर सकते हो। ओके, इज इट क्लियर?
जी
ओके, देन ओपन एंडेड, अब कुछ जगहों में ओपन एंडेड होता है। अब ओपन एंडेड इज क्लास लिमिट इज मिसिंग ईदर एट द लोअर एंड ऑफ द और एट द अपर एंड ऑफ द, so it is the necessity of open ended classes arises in a number of practical situations। अब ऐसे भी सिचुएशन आप देखते जाओ, प्रैक्टिकल सिचुएशंस है। अब वहां पे आप इतने ग्रुप्स नहीं बना सकते, रेंज नहीं बना सकते, तो वहां पे क्या होता है कि चीजों को समझने के लिए, उसको इंटरप्रेट करने के लिए, उसको उसको इवेल्युएट करने के लिए यू कैन, so the necessity like with स्पेशली इकोनॉमिकल डेटा में, इकोनॉमिक्स के डेटा में, लाइक लेस देन 2,000 कितने, अब जैसे बीपीएल कैटेगरी है, कोई आदमी अगर हमने कहा कि लेस देन 300 रुपीज। अब लेस देन 300 बहुत सारी फैमिलीज हो सकती है, हजारों की तादाद में हो सकती है, तो आपने एक ब्लैंकेट क्राइटेरिया बना दिया लेस देन 3000, क्योंकि मिनिमम घर जीने की लागत जो है 3000 है। अब 3000 से नीचे जो भी है, चाहे जैसी भी कंडीशन में रह रहे हो, तो उसके हिसाब से आप अपना वो बना सकते हो। उसके लिए उसको ओपन एंडेड बोलते हैं। अब जैसे यहाँ पे बिलो 2000, 2000 टू 4000, 4000 टू 6000, 6000 टू 8000, 8000 एंड अबव। ओके, तो ये इस तरीके से आप देखिए, बिलो 2000 एंड मोर देन 8000, तो ये दोनों एक रेंज हो गई। तो 7, 5, 6, 4, 3, और फिर उसके हिसाब से लोग उसको यूज किया जा सकता है। इसको ओपन एंडेड बोलते हैं। तो आपको तीन मेथड बताया मैंने, इंक्लूसिव, एक्सक्लूसिव एंड ओपन एंडेड। ओके, सो फ्रीक्वेंसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कभी भी बनाने के लिए आपको मतलब, तो आप कोई भी डेटा को यूज कर सकते हैं, उससे आप फ्रीक्वेंसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टेबल बना सकते हैं। जैसे कि आप नंबर ऑफ आइटम्स आपके कितने हैं, क्या किस तरीके से आप उसको यूज करते हैं, किस तरीके से आप उसको बनाते हैं। तो यहाँ पे अल्टीमेटली देखिए, इफ द आइडेंटिटी ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल अबाउट whom a particular information is taken is not relevant, then the first step is of condensation. नाउ व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट इज, मैंने कहा कि डेटा को जितना आप कंसाइज करके, जितना आप उससे मलाई निकाल सकते हो, आपको समझ आना चाहिए कि उस डेटा को हम कैसे वो करते हैं। और अल्टीमेटली फ्रीक्वेंसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, व्हाई डू वी यूज इट? बिकॉज जो लार्ज नंबर ऑफ आइटम्स अगर बहुत ज्यादा हैं, तो उसको आप कंसाइज करके उससे आप कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन डिसिफर कर सकते हो। यू कैन नो अकॉर्डिंगली दैट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज मिसिंग, और हमको कहाँ पे इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए। Okay, so based on this you have got different types of टेक्निक। लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, यहाँ पे वेट दिया हुआ है, क्लास के अंदर 50 बच्चे हैं, कॉलेज स्टूडेंट्स हैं, सबका वजन दिया हुआ है। सो क्लास इंटरवल कितना होना चाहिए? हमने इसको कैसे किया, तो क्लास साइज ऑफ द क्लास सी यू ले लिया हमने, रेंज हमने बताया। तो पूरे ग्रुप में से आप रेंज निकाल लीजिए, मैक्सिमम कितनी वैल्यू है इसमें, 64 किलोग्राम्स। मिनिमम कितना है, 32 किलोग्राम्स, डिवाइडेड बाई 1 + 3.322 logarithm of 50, because there are 50 families. So based on this, uh, we have being able to calculate. So 64 minus 32 plus divided by 1 + 3 वो फॉर्मूले में डाला, लोगारिथम ऑफ, ये आपको कोई कैलकुलेट करने के लिए बोलेगा नहीं, बट आपको अपनी नॉलेज के लिए स्टूज रूल के बारे में पता अगर हो तो इजी हो जाता है। तो 32 डिवाइडेड बाई 6.44, तो क्लास इंटरवल आपका 7 का है, और इस तरीके से साइज आप 5 बना लीजिए, ग्रुप्स बना लीजिए, और ग्रुप को उस तरीके से डिवाइड कर लीजिए। जैसे कि आपने बना दिया 40 to 45, 40 to 44, 45 to 49, तो इस तरीके से आपने ग्रुप बना लिए, उसके हिसाब से आप उसको ग्रुप में आराम से डिवाइड कर सकते हैं, इन अ बैच ऑफ 5 और इन अ बैच ऑफ 7। सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन कि आपका क्लास इंटरवल क्या निकल के आता है और साइज आपका कितना निकल। इज इट क्लियर? समझ आ गया? ये कोई डाउट इसमें? हाँ जी, एनीवन हैज हैविंग एनी डाउट? कोई चीज समझ नहीं आई? तो इसके हिसाब से हम यहाँ पे क्लास इंटरवल बना सकते हैं। हमने कहा कि भाई देखिए, 5 5 का ग्रुप। अब ये हमने एक्सक्लूसिव ग्रुप ले लिया, 30 to 35, 35 to 40, तो कितने लोगों का है जिनके पास 35, 30 to 35 है, सी। तो यहाँ आपने कैलकुलेट कर लिया, फिर 35 to 40, तो उसके हिसाब से आपने ले लिया।
सर इसमें क्लास इंटरवल 7 कैसे आ गया सर?
है
हाउ डज दिस क्लास इंटरवल 7 कम आउट सर इन द या?
क्लास इंटरवल 7 इसलिए आ गया ना, ये देखिए ना, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, क्योंकि आपका मैक्सिमम 64 तक गया है ना, तो हमने 10 का ना लेके इतना लिया। एक मिनट, हेलो, हाँ। देखिए यहाँ पे मैंने आपको बताया, ये आपका 5 निकल के आया। 5 क्या है? साइज है क्लास का। तो मतलब आपने साइज कितना लिया? 30 से 35, 35 से 40, ये 5 साइज हो गया। और आपका मैक्सिमम कितना था? 64 था। मिनिमम 30, तो आपने 30 से लेके 35, 35 से 40, तो इस तरीके से आपके 7 ग्रुप्स आ गए। साइज ऑफ द क्लास इंटरवल सिंपल। कि 5 निकल के आए, जब ऐसे आपने डिवाइड किया तो 5 साइज के हिसाब से आपके 7 ग्रुप्स बन गए। अब आप उसके अंदर 5 ग्रुप से भी कर सकते हैं, 30 से 40 भी कर सकते हैं, बट उसमें कहीं ना कहीं इन्फॉर्मेशन खो जाती। इसलिए हम उसको इस तरीके से बताएंगे कि आपकी कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन खोनी नहीं चाहिए। So you can tell more information, you can get more information getting from the same sample, या same data set. So the more is the information, the better is the technique. ये है।
Okay,
Is it
sir.
clear? Okay. तो देखिए हमने यहाँ पे क्या किया कि हमने फ्रीक्वेंसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में ले 30 to 35 वाले कितने। अब देखिए कितने वेट वाले लोग थे इधर, तो हमने ये निकाला 30 to 35। पहले रो में नहीं है, दूसरे रो में है, 30 to 35 वाले में नहीं है, यहाँ पे भी 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 नहीं है, यहाँ पे है। तो एक ये हो गया, है ना। तो लाइक दिस वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट। तो अब जब हम इसको देख लेंगे तो हम इसको कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं। तो 30 to 35 वाले दो हैं। अब दो कहाँ कहाँ हैं? इसमें 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 है, एक है, ये है। एक 32, एक 34 है। तो ये हो गया। सिमिलरली आप दूसरे वाले ग्रुप में 35 to 40 में 6 आ गए इसमें। तो आपने ये सारा बना लिया, टोटल 50 पीपल के ऊपर आपने इसको कैटेगराइज कर लिया। तो आप उस इंफॉर्मेशन से आप निकाल सकते हैं कि भाई जबकि क्लास में 50 लोग थे तो 30 से 35 वाले बच्चे सिर्फ 2 ही थे, 35 से 40 किलो वाले बच्चे सिर्फ 6 ही थे, ठीक है, 40 से 45 वाले 12 थे। and then accordingly you can discuss and can plan your things कि आपको किस तरीके की इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए। उसके बेसिस पे आप डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ ग्राफ्स बना सकते हैं, आप इसके बेसिस पे हिस्टोग्राम बना सकते हैं, फ्रीक्वेंसी पॉलीगन वगैरह बना। तो मेरे ख्याल से हम नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम ये नेक्स्ट, क्योंकि ये 55 स्लाइड्स का है ना, तो अप टू 30 वी हैव कवर्ड। तो 30 से लेके 55 बाकी के 25 स्लाइड्स हम नेक्स्ट क्लास में कवर कराएंगे। ओके
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
जी
sir.
जी
Thank you.
ओके, ठीक है ना। तो इसको आप जरा सा देख लीजिएगा, ये सारा फ्रीक्वेंसी पॉलीगन, क्योंकि ये जब
Okay,
आप
sir.
स्टैट्स करेंगे या ग्राफ कैसे बनाते हैं, कैसे यूज करते हैं, तो हर जगह पे आपको ये देखेंगे आप, है ना, आपको अलग अलग। तो वैल्यूज में आपको पता आना चाहिए पाई चार्ट कहाँ पे यूज करते हैं, बार ग्राफ्स कहाँ यूज करते हैं, पॉलीगन्स कहाँ पे, हिस्टोग्राम्स कहाँ पे यूज करते हैं। अब आपको आप CPHQ, मतलब आप उसमें क्वालिटी कंट्रोल, क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस में काम कर रहे हैं, आप हॉस्पिटल में आप अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं, इन्फेक्शन कंट्रोल है, आप वार्ड वाइज आप बनाना चाहते हो, तो दीज ऑल इंफॉर्मेशन कैन रियल बी हैंडी इन ऑर्डर टू get you best of the information, and according to those information you can then plan your strategies or you can discuss the advices. So चलिए, okay, thank you. So we'll meet next week, huh? Okay, bye.
जी
Okay.
सर, थैंक
Thank
यू
you,
वेरी
sir.
मच।
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.